Jake, Mark, what about Yahoo? What about the dance among Google, Yahoo, and MSN and Microsoft positioning in the marketplace? Talk a little bit about what you see among these three public companies in these pure internet plays.
So the market for online advertising, I see Microsoft advertising at the back of the room there, is still large. That matters to travel, both because travel companies are increasingly tapping into advertising as a revenue stream. Expedia gets about 10% of its revenue just from advertising, and it matters to travel companies because you look at advertising channels as the way to get more customers. I look at this as, frankly, one of the most exciting opportunities out there. I simply think about it as a $120 billion source of funds that's coming over to the internet at some point. Internet advertising was $20 billion last year. $60 billion was spent on direct marketing. Those are those pieces of mail you never opened that increasingly costly to send to you. $40 billion was spent on newspapers. Those are those things at the edge of the driveway when you return home with the rubber bands around them. And $20 billion was spent on Yellow Pages advertising. And raise your hand if you use the Yellow Pages regularly. So you've got a large source of funds that the travel companies can tap into as a revenue source and as a channel that will come on, that should come online. The Microsoft Yahoo dance is exactly about this. Microsoft's trying to build up scale in online advertising. There's no choice really. There's no plan B other than probably to buy Yahoo. Google has a leading position. But one last thing, there's great innovation going on. We're all living through an inflection point in internet usage. And that comes from those iPhones that people increasingly have and all the competing products. They're just barely out there, a couple of million installed base. A year from now, you're going to have a massively much larger installed base of phones, mobile devices that people are using for online information and commerce. That is going to have a fundamental impact on travel as well.
Jake?
Yeah, I guess coming at it from a different angle, if I look at the online travel space in the next big leg of growth, because as I said, I do still think it's a growth industry, I think it is tapping into these alternative revenue streams, and it's building up, as we mentioned earlier, it's building up the advertising related revenue. We're seeing that happen already. If your conversion rates are less than 5%, 95% of your traffic is unmonetized. If you work through some basic math on that, I think there's probably several $100 million that the big four OTAs can add to their income statement over the next 3 years.